Good afternoon from Bali, everyone. It's Hanifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, I wanted to talk about a theme in spiritual evolution that we all run into, or we all experience regularly, which is this theme of sensuality and materialism. Sensuality and materialism, the title of this video. And I thought I'd start with one quotation by Rumi, which says, "Let yourself be silently drawn by the strong pull of what you really love." Now, a lot of people would say, oh, I really do love sensuality, I really do love materialism, and most of us do at some level. So if we think about our physical senses, if you are an art lover, that's a sensual experience. If you're a music lover, that is a sensual experience. If you love being touched, that is a sensual experience. If you are a person who likes to touch things and are very tactile, you are a sensual person. It could even be your pet, but you are tactile, and that's a sensual experience. Then we've got sensuality that may turn into lust, which is a completely different energy. I won't go there, but I'm being pulled into this quotation by Rumi. Let yourself be silently drawn by the strong pull of what you really love. And what you really love is interesting. I have had several people ask me recently, right, and perhaps throughout my time in Bali especially, as to what has drawn me into this work, because it's so different than what they might have known me as in years ago, and yet they see some commonality too. So this kindness, this compassion, this consideration for others has always been part of me, and I know that from childhood till now, very much into that energy. Now, it's interesting because I came across this quotation by Pema Chodron, and you know that I focus on grief recovery and brain retraining, and of course now adding in some Vedic learning and ancient spiritual teachings from various traditions. But this quotation by Pema Chodron really hits the nail on the head for me, and I believe for a lot of people's experiences. So this says, most spiritual experiences begin with suffering. They begin with groundlessness. They begin when the rug has been pulled out from under us. And it's true. I will say that grief recovery talks about this. If I look at Bhagavad Gita, we can see that Arjuna was going through his most profound spiritual experience in the Bhagavad Gita, and he felt like the rug was being pulled out from under him in terms of, oh my goodness, the situation that I'm in. So many of us have been in those situations, and you might know that when I worked through grief recovery for myself, it was so phenomenal that I made it my life, as you know. And in that, my life, in terms, this is, of course, the work that I have a strong passion for. So I'm drawn to this, and it is something that I love. This love of people, this compassion for the human experience, this, what I really love is helping people get through emotional experiences. And yes, I certainly understand how it feels when we are feeling like the rug has been pulled out from under us. So I would say that yes, for this life, I have definitely felt this experience, which I do believe has played a pivotal role in my evolution spiritually. And so when people are asking, here's the reason, this is again exactly this. Some of these clients and patients already know this history and know that this significant change has happened afterwards. And I have to tell you, I have to thank my ex for that. I have to thank, because as a soul, he knew the space in my journey that I was here for. And I somehow knew that he was going to help me get there too, because I believe that as souls, we're kind of aware of the people that we will meet, that sometimes it's not so easy to go into the next step that we need to take, and yet there's nothing better than that next step. I saw this also, this quotation, in terms of walking this spiritual path, and this also very much defines my experience, and perhaps it explains your experience too if you feel like you're doing this. This says, to walk the spiritual path is to continually step out into the unknown. To continually step out into the unknown. And this is interesting. You might think that, oh, well, here I am in an unknown land, have been here for 6 months now, and it's because I'm in a different place. No, every single day, if we can look at things fresh with new eyes, it is stepping out into the unknown. The thing is, the mind likes to believe that, well, I know this area, I know what to expect, I know, well, see, I know what I have to do today. All of those things fill our mind, and that doesn't really fill us or leave us with a space for this openness of this present moment. Now, I also wanted to talk about this awakening process because I also speak to many people that feel that they might be going through something like this. They're not really certain, but they feel like, something is changing in their lives, and things are changing in all of our lives. But I thought I'd talk to you about the steps or stages of awakening that have been discussed in various lectures that I've listened to, and I thought I'd share it with you. Because how would you know if you're going through awakening, and if you're on this journey or walking this path? How do you know, what are the experiences that a person would have? So this was a really good definition when we're thinking about sensuality and materialism. We start with this idea of people are usually trained socially, personally, family-wise, through school, all of that. We've been trained to search for money, for relationships, and for accomplishments. So we're all used to, I feel good when I've got money, I feel good when I've got a good relationship, and I've got good feelings when I've made an accomplishment or achieved an accomplishment of some sort. And then when I don't, when I lose money, I don't feel good. And when I lose a relationship, I don't feel good. And when I don't have an accomplishment, I don't feel good. And that cycle, when someone finally gets to the point of, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do, that's often a time of a spiritual awakening. So this idea of stages do happen, because I believe everyone is going through awakenings at different times in their lives, and only occasionally are we really sensitive to realizing something different is happening. So this has 3 stages that I wanted to share with you, what I heard that I'm sharing. The first would be the pure pursuit of materialism. This is a pure pursuit. It's like, if I only had $1 million. I definitely like spirituality, but if I could just get $1 million, okay, I don't need $1 million, maybe $100,000. If I have $100,000, that would be good. So this is a pure pursuit, because I cannot be happy until I have that. I have to have whatever number you fill in the blank. And when I have that, and this is my goal, and suddenly I have some awakening, some shift, some change, we suddenly feel like, oh my goodness, okay, either I've achieved that, I've received this much money that I wanted to make, or I'm content with what I've achieved, or I'm content with material possessions, then suddenly there can be this opening, and often is, for, material things are one thing, but I feel like living a moral and ethical life. And now a lot of us are already thinking that at the back of our minds, I want to be moral and ethical. Yet when we take it really seriously, am I being moral and ethical? That switches us into a different space. And this then makes us happier. So we start with the really physical level, then we go into kind of the mental level, that is this moral, is this ethical? And either one, first we're happy with the physical level, then we're happy with the mental level. And then move into a second stage of, okay, it's good to feel better in terms of this moral and ethical life. I feel like I'm doing right things and living morally and ethically. But now I want to be a good person. So we can go from being a good person, a really good person, you're a good person, and perhaps you're an atheist. And perhaps you just do not believe in anything else outside. And suddenly, there's an awakening to a higher power of there's something. I might not call it God, I might not call it the universe, but there's something outside of me that's helping me. I know that. When we get into that stage, we also move into a different spiritual level, or a different awakening. And then there's that devout stage. This is the third stage, where there's this devout, there's a term called bhakti, which is, or bhakta, which would be like the devout devotee. This person could be, a really strongly religious person, maybe Catholic, maybe Christian, maybe Buddhist, doesn't matter, strong religion, Hindu, Muslim, anything, but there's this strong devout, like there's this love for this religion of any sort. And then there's this pursuit of jnana. So from that space, they have a love for religion, and then there's a pursuit of jnana, because, a lot of people, they love religion. They just love that, okay, there's God, someone's helping me, there's something, there's the universe is out there, and the universe has my back, and all of those ideas are that space of bhakti. It's that love for something that's helping me. Then there's the pursuit of jnana. Jnana is knowledge. This is spiritual knowledge. Now this spiritual knowledge, no matter which tradition a person is following, or has been raised in, or has learned about now, this is this desire, this pull for this spiritual knowledge. I have to understand why. I understand that we do this in this religion, in this culture, in this community, but I have to understand why. And this is that pursuit of spiritual jnana, or knowledge. And from there, there's this understanding of, wait, that power is within me. That power is within me. Now, it's interesting that these 3 stages of awakening are very normal stages that majority of people do go through when they're ready. And this is the key, is the next point that needs to be understood, is there's 2 things that are helpful, no, absolutely necessary for someone who is on this path. One is that readiness, this readiness of, I'm ready to learn something, I'm ready to understand something, that I'm ready from this humble space too. Not, I already know that stuff, because when you're in that space, you're not ready. And in Sanskrit, this term is adhikara, which is the person qualified? Is a person qualified? So when you are ready, this qualification needs both the capacity for the learning, so what you learn, you're able to process in terms of not just reading words, but really reflecting on and contemplating and understanding and experiencing in some way of, it's within ourselves that we're understanding. Do I have a capacity? Capacity also needs the desire and the aspiration. Let's say I can understand everything that I read. I think I know it. But if I have a desire and aspiration to learn more, to improve, to somehow benefit something outside of myself, then I am ready. I have the readiness. And both of these experiences, these aspects, this capacity and desire or aspiration, they come through our life experiences. There's literally experiences that come to us that we go through, and many people are very tunnel visioned in their experiences, that I just need to get through this. And occasionally people are aware of their awakenings and they allow themselves to expand just a little bit differently. And this is certainly what happened to me, or is happening. It's a continuous process. I believe that it's a lifelong journey. But let me tell you, it's fantastic. So when we go from that material aspect and sensuality, some people would say, oh no, I really like money and I really like to be sensual. It's not that you lose that. It's not, I love dressing up. I love sensuality. I love having fun. I love that. And I also love material things. I love a nice table. I love a nice lamp. I love I love nice clothes. All of that sort of idea, but it becomes a different part of our focus. It's a much milder part of our focus than what our central focus is. So this is something to understand. And a lot of people think that when you go towards spirituality or to go through this direction, you become very serious and, you just don't have fun anymore. And it's not true, but you can become much deeper. One can become much deeper. And this depth of experience is profound. So again, you know that for years I've been talking about this evolution, the soul's evolution, the spiritual evolution, whether I look at it from sexual evolution, whether I look at it from the human development evolution, and whether I looked at it from that specific OJAS video that I made. All of that is saying the same thing, that we need a root of energy to then expand and flourish in different ways. Now, where we use it to flourish is going to be what we focus our attention to. And then finally, I thought there's also enough people that are asking me about jealousy and competition and things like that. And we talk about this in appointments regularly these days, or at least I do with several people, sometimes just friends. And I'm sure you'll have these conversations too. You don't have to be a practitioner to know these conversations come up about jealousy and competition, whether it's in a personal life or whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in a home, because siblings can compete with each other. A husband and a wife can compete with each other. There's control issues, or can be. And this awareness of our understanding of ourselves, it's not about pointing the finger at that person is doing this to me. This is evolving. If we're really evolving, we start looking at things differently. How can I be better? How can I be more understanding? How can I be more patient? How can I respond and not react? How can I be more loving to the other? This is spiritual evolution. But I wanted to make sure you know this too. This is a quote from, I don't know who has actually written this quote. I don't know the author, but it's from @Athmogenesis, so I don't know if that's a company, but it's a beautiful quote. It says, It's important to understand that when you start to awaken, your light will trigger the shadow parts of other people. It's like pulling the blinds open in the morning when someone is sleeping. Most people don't want to be woke up, so they try to pull you back to sleep with them. Stay true to your path no matter what resistance you face. And this is very interesting. So remember, the theme of this video is spirituality. But again, sensuality and materialism. Sensuality, and look, I've even forgotten these terms. That's hilarious. So sensuality and materialism, I just think it's so interesting that, yeah, it's not really at the forefront of my mind these days, but sensuality and materialism, when we're talking about this, when we see, when they try to pull you back to sleep with them, you know, it's not that we would, I do not, and I do not believe anyone else on the spiritual journey either, stops enjoying the spiritual things and stops enjoying the sensual things and stops enjoying the material things. So all of these things are enjoyable. The focus becomes very much more about the spiritual. So this, imagine if you have some temptations of, oh, you know, it's the spiritual things that are kind of fun, but it's not really my focus. My focus is the sensual. You will be drawn into that. That's where your OJS is being used. And sometimes you'll be drawn into the material stuff that, you know, I can't enjoy the spiritual because I absolutely have to have this material. Whatever the materialism aspect is, and it definitely will feel very, very true. And someone will pull you back into that and say, you know, you've only got enough for living for 2 months, so you better pile up a little bit more. You're going to be retiring soon. How much do you have in your savings? Have I heard these things? Yes, 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 I've heard these things. And I'm sure you will too. And I want you to know that when we move towards spirituality, our needs are met. They're somehow met when there is this trust and faith in the universe, and looking at just today is all we need to do. This present moment thinking keeps us out of this materialism thinking, which is very much about how much do you have now? Well, that's what you had yesterday. What will you have tomorrow? That's the materialism thinking. Or we can do the sensual thinking that, yeah, you know, the girl I was dating was really great this way, but you know what, she just doesn't do what I like. Or a guy was not so interesting, like he just doesn't buy me enough things, or he doesn't take me enough places. All of that stuff that sensuality is involved in is also with materialism also. It's also very much ego. And when we move into spirituality, this is why there's such a beautiful feeling with letting go of the ego, or releasing a grip on the ego, or the ego releasing a grip on who we are actually, is really that we allow that I don't need that now. I do not need that to be the focus. Somehow it comes along in the way that things are just right for us, and it would come along for you too. So do not feel that you do not have access to the materialism or the sensuality aspect of your life. You will have a direction of focus that is so much more fulfilling. And that you would have to try out to see if that happens for you. From others that I've met on this journey, I believe that it's actually a very similar experience. I will tell you that there are some traditions that are very much about no sensuality in terms of, okay, nothing that, you know, stimulates the senses. So if we look at Buddhism, even if we look at very strict Hinduism, you might see that. And still missing the point that if you lose the senses, we're still living the human existence. We're still living this human form. Our form will change. That recognition also, that what I am today will not be the same as tomorrow. So my form will change. My mind will change. My spirituality, if I have a strong grip on that, does not change. Yet, the sensual aspect, yeah, to keep it in the sensuality and not move into lust, that's the key there. Next video, I'll be talking more about that. Today, I hope you have some understanding of this direction and understand that it is very easy to fall back into old patterns, and these shadows that I talked about in this last quotation will be around, whether from ourselves or whether from people that we meet, and it will be like huge temptations, and it's really fun temptations, and go ahead and have those temptations if it's satisfying for you. For myself, yes, I've had temptations around, and I can tell you, I do not find them satisfying. I do find this extremely satisfying, and the love and compassion and sensuality that I also experience from people, which is within a non-lusty range, I'm thrilled with it. I wish and I hope that you will feel that too and recognize the depth that we can get to if we are looking from this direction. If you need any information and want to give this a try, give me a call or email. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you have a fantastic day ahead. I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.